Thank you for coming to this webinar today. This is a webinar as part of the Region U Masterclass series. It's actually the last in the series. We've had, I think this is the 6th now, a series of webinars all about the regenerative economy and the role of the university therein. And today we're specifically speaking about collaboration for the regenerative transition. This is an area that we are really keen on exploring at UIN as we focus on helping universities to collaborate with external partners to enhance the impact of their education. And I am joined by two lovely speakers today who I will introduce you to in just a second. First of all, I am Tasha Day. I'm a project officer at UIN, where I engage in European Commission co-funded projects, research and development about the topics of impactful education, educational collaborations, innovative educational methods, and regenerative and sustainability in the economy. My speakers today are Menno Wierdsma. He's a practical researcher in education at FIEDA, which is a vocational education organisation in Friesland, which is in the north of the Netherlands. He's also a co-coordinator of the talent programme called Leadership for the Circular Transition in the Netherlands, which he's going to talk to us about today. We also have Marlies van de Bedeke, who is an educator, researcher, and regenerative practitioner in transformative learning and sustainability at Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences. And I'm extremely excited to hear what our speakers have in store for us today. I have done a little bit of research about the programs and spoken to them a bit, but I don't know so much, so I'm really looking forward to it. So now moving on to the specific focus of this webinar, which is the role that higher education institutions can play in the transition to a regenerative economy. I've put in higher education there in brackets because I know Menno will also talk to us about collaboration between university students and college students. So it's not just higher education that we're going to be speaking about today. And as per the kind of ethos of the regenerative economy, we know that this is crucial that everyone gets involved and is able to play a role. So we have showcase examples of businesses making strides towards a regenerative economy. Examples are key. Absolutely, definitely. We have facilitating and co-creating. Absolutely. I think as this is such a kind of core theme of the regenerative economy, the university has a really kind of core role to be able to facilitate this co-creation. Teaching the right transformative skill sets. Absolutely. I think that our guests today will speak a little bit about this. Helping students become aware of the concept and how their actions and decisions in any field impact the regenerative economy, for sure. The dissemination of knowledge and creation of new talents in the field of regenerative economy, for sure. That's a really kind of holistic point. We have the knowledge and also the kind of nurturing of the skills and competencies that students might need to actually have an impact or work on the regenerative economy, and increasing awareness. So from our research, we found that universities can take several actions to support the transition to a regenerative economy. And these kind of encompass the following ideas. So universities and education institutions could provide entrepreneurship education to focus on regenerative entrepreneurship that prioritizes sustainability and social responsibility away from kind of normative classical economics and business studies, which prioritizes just growth and GDP, as well as profit. Universities can promote interdisciplinary teaching methods to address the complexities of sustainable development. As we know, wicked challenges, SDGs, regenerative economy challenges do not find themselves confined to just one discipline. and really kind of need that vital cross-fertilization across economics, sociology, environmental science, and we really need to bring all of these groups together. Universities can also integrate courses on pluralistic perspectives. We found in our research that many of the educators said that they, at their universities, economics was taught from purely a classical perspective, also some cases in the case of business as well. And it's important to integrate non-mainstream economic theories such as donut economics and degrowth to kind of challenge the hegemony of just the kind of classical growth economics. We also might need to look into challenging the traditional publish and perish culture in academia that puts a lot of emphasis on publications rather than maybe placing an emphasis, resources and support on teaching and engagement and career pathways to support these journeys. Universities should also act as amplifiers of knowledge creation, transfer and accessibility, accelerating the spread of key concepts and ideas in society, very similar to what one of you has written in the Menti just now. And finally, universities should encourage collaborations between themselves and external partners. And on this note, I'm going to pass you over to our speakers today, who are going to tell you about some things that they are working on, some programs that are actually doing this job to kind of connect up different parts of society, different disciplines on the topics of regenerative economy, circularity and sustainability. So I will stop sharing my screen, and Menno, if you'd like to take the floor, please go ahead.
Welcome everybody, and I'm here to talk about the program leadership for the circular transition. It's a program that was started a couple of years ago, and like you said, Tasha, I'm a co-coordinator of the program. Our main coordinator is Diana de Feiter from Het Groene Brein, or in English, the Green Brain. She actually mostly runs the entire program. It's a collaboration between several universities of applied sciences here in the Netherlands, and I am not from a University of Applied Science, like you said. I'm from Virda, and we are a school for vocational education here in Frisia. And we educate all kinds of people for all kinds of vocations. Think about maybe the technical installation professionals, hairdressers, builders, dancers. I'd almost say you name it, and we have people teaching it. And for me as a practical researcher, I run a practoraat here at Virda, and a practoraat is kind of a, well, let's call it, for simplicity's sake, a professorship for in vocational education. So it's my job to actually help our colleagues to bring sustainability in all their educational programs. It's not easy, of course, because I just told you how many different kinds of vocations that we help people develop in. So my main focus is on how we can help and inspire teachers to actually think about new ways of teaching and building education. Well, so far about that. For me, this program leadership for the circular transition is a way is a form of other education and other kind of education. So I was lucky enough that about a year ago, Diana and Tibbe, the other co-coordinator of the program, Tibbe van Leeuwen from Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences, that they asked me if I would like to join them as a coordinator from vocational education, because they actually wanted to strengthen the link to vocational education. Well, first of all, this talent program, so it's what we call it, a talent program. It's a program that has that is usually away from the standard curriculum in most universities of applied sciences. So this is a program for students who want and are able to do some extra credits things aside from their main curricular duties. Well, and like you, as you can read here, it's about preparing students to play their part in the transition, in the circular transition, and maybe not maybe, I think the regenerative transition is even a better viewpoint. But this program was started as a program for the circular transition. How can we help them develop the competencies and skills that they actually need? And Tasha, you already mentioned a couple of those. And it's, for me, it's also always a question: what are the right competencies, knowledge, and skills? So what do students or future leaders actually need? So in the program, we try to facilitate the development of future leaders. We experiment with hybrid learning ecosystems. And for me, the hybrid learning ecosystem is about learning in or between traditional education and external partners like businesses. And of course, learning in situations where there are no clear solutions and where everybody is a learner. So we as teachers are just as well learners as our students are. And that, of course, for me is a very interesting view, because it is an entirely new role for most teachers. And I think that is one of the main difficulties for teachers as well. I'll get back to that later on. And of course, it's about strengthening the educational innovation. So it's about, for me, experimenting with new ways of education. So this is another, of course, you can talk about the content of education, circular economy, regenerative economy. But for me, it's also about the function of education. Are we here to tell or teach students what they need to know, or what we think they need to know? From what I've learned about the transitions that we have ahead of us, none of us actually know how what the right paths are. So if we don't know what the right paths are, can we actually still can we still monopolize knowledge and monopolize the direction that students have to take? So I think it's more about helping students find their own way and develop themselves as people, and find a way to actually build this better world, better society for all of us. And of course, then that is also about a different form of education, different type of education. Well, this whole talent program is like I said, it's mainly a collaboration between universities of applied sciences, and there's a couple of researchers and teachers from these universities that each take different parts in the course. And there's also here another school for vocational education, that's UVerta, and that's a school for vocational education that mainly focuses on let's call it the green vocations. So that's about farming, it's about forest management, and things like that. What kind of skills can be important? Well, at least let me say that for up until now, in this talent program, we've focused on these skill sets that you see here in the screen. So it's about self-mastery, learning how to work transdisciplinary with people from all different kinds of disciplines. People may actually have different habits. They might even think or work differently. So how do you collaborate together? It's about, of course, understanding or embracing the complexity of the transitions that we have, and then think about how can we actually build this new circular or regenerative future. So it's about designing as well. No, there's a lot of thoughts that come to mind when I say designing, but I'll keep it. I'll leave those thoughts for now. Maybe they'll come up in the questions later on. Well, to give you an overview of the entire program, it's a year-long program. and it consists of a number of days where students actually meet each other. Students from these different institutions, they come together on different types of on different days. It's about I think 4 or 5 days that are actually well, you can see it here. We start with 3 full days, then we have a national hackathon, and then we end with 3 full days. It's a facultative program, so students are they can join, but they don't have any curricular responsibilities in this sense. That is a strength on the one hand, and it's also a weakness because it's hard to keep students involved sometimes. And for us, as Verda, we had a couple of students who took part this year for the first time in the winter school. Last year, we joined in on the National Hackathon, and this year again, I'll tell you a bit more about that. Sadly, the 3 students that started in the winter school didn't finish the program and didn't finish in the spring or summer school. As you can see, there's different topics, different themes at each school day that we put in the center of the program. Well, like you can see, the program has now has been running for 4 years, and the number of students actually grew steadily from at least when we look at the hackathon. So if we look at the entire program, the number of students is still is kind of constant. But when we take just the middle part, that's 1 week of just a challenge based. It's a hackathon. Then of course you can see the number of students growing. But it's actually for us also it's something that we actually now are thinking about. How can we involve more students in this program? What should the program be like? How should we organize it to actually involve more students? Well, here's a picture from a couple of years ago where students collaborated joined in the program. And the quote here, of course, says a lot in my view. So working with people from different backgrounds really opens up paths to creative new ideas. And for me, that's one of the main focus points. And if we now focus on this hackathon in the center part, it's a full week of challenge-based curriculum. There's a central kickoff, a central national kickoff. It's usually online, and there the challenge is prepared. The partner, the company that actually has the challenge or presents the challenge, they provide some background info. Then teams throughout the country, regional teams, start working on that challenge. They develop their ideas, they develop their presentations, and then finally, of course, they develop their team pitch and pitch their ideas in regional finals. The winners from the regional finals actually go on to a national final. Last year, we participated. We had the luck of participating with a small group of students from Frisia as well in a challenge from ProRail. So they actually it's well, let's call them the national railway system. They had a challenge about how can we work towards waste-free train stations. And it was very nice, and of course a lot of fun for our students as well, vocational education students who are more region bound than students from universities of applied sciences or just academic universities. The part where they have to present their ideas in the main office here in the Utrecht, in the center of the Netherlands, really well, it gives them a sense of importance, and it helps them. It helps them, gives them wings, makes them fly. This year again we participated, but then this year we were lucky enough again from Frisia at least to participate with a number of mixed teams. So where we had I think about 30 students from Frisia, but we actually managed to make teams where students from Virda, so vocational education students, collaborated with students from NHL Stende, that's the University of Applied Sciences here in Frisia, and from students from the Academic University of Groningen. And that was for us, it was kind of challenging to see how will working together, what will it do with students? How does it actually work? And there were some very interesting conversations going on between some of our coaches and students. And one conversation that actually still keeps ringing with me, at least in my mind, is a conversation where a student from the academic university, an international student, started to, well, let's call it complain. It's not really the best term, but she expressed her worries about not being intellectually challenged enough in the program and in the collaboration with the team, where they had to think of work on a challenge from H&M. I'll not go into the details here right now for the sake of time, but it was a very interesting conversation. And while she while with her coach, they were actually thinking aloud about, okay, so that you're missing some intellectual challenge, and tell me a bit more about the collaboration with your team. And then she started to talk about how difficult it is to work together with students that have difficulty speaking English, students that are more used to practical work and really have difficulties with the abstract level of reasoning that was there at the start of the program. So in their conversation, the insights grew that while there might not be an intellectual challenge, there was a challenge about how do we collaborate and work together across different disciplines and different people with different backgrounds. So for me, that was a very important win. That was a very important win to take home. And we were lucky enough, at least a team of our students were lucky enough that they actually won the national finals as well. So that was a lot of fun to see how people with the more abstract kind of thinking could collaborate with people who were could actually develop some of the ideas that were thought of. So they actually could make the ideas material, make real, just build the ideas actually. So they became more. It became better and more tactile ideas. Well, some of the students, we of course asked the students to give us some feedback. And again, of course, the working on the real challenges is a real positive, good point for most students. However, the week was filled with online lectures as well, and that's difficult for students if they are working together and then they're actually torn out of their group work to attend online lectures. That really doesn't work. And well, there's some more difficulties. I'll not go into them all right now, but maybe some of these will come up during questions. So for now, we are starting growing, or we strengthening the focus on right now we're still calling it multi-level learning. That's a term that's here in the Netherlands. That's the popular term here. It's about collaborating between the different kinds of educational institutions. The hackathon is a strong point, and we're trying to build a learning community. And for now, that is what I have to say about the talent program leadership for the circular economy. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Menno. That was really nice. I really love the emphasis on kind of the teachers becoming learners themselves, and also, as you said, this process of people from the vocational education working with the academic education. And I think this is also really what the regenerative transition and also our project is about, is bringing all these spheres together and kind of facilitating learning between them. So thanks a lot. I'm gonna pass it straight over to Marlies. We're gonna have time for some questions at the end. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but so straight over to you, Marlies.
Thank you for your great story, Menno. I was really at the tip of my chair, and I heard some very interesting aspects that might connect to what I want to share. So I'm looking forward to the conversation and questions afterwards. And to all the others, my name is Marlies van der Wey. I left out the Baedeker part. That I used that when I got married. I changed the name. I'm an educator and researcher at Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences. And as the pictures on this scherm show, I would like to share some of my experiences and of the aspirations and dreams we have of education for a regenerative future by taking our students into the city to collaborate with residents, societal partners, and partners from professional practice. And for me, I hope that this type of education, or with this type of education, teaching, learning, and collaboration can become an act of love again. And when I talk about love and care, I'm talking about it, love for the world, because we have some work to do. Love for the others that we work with, and also love for our own learning process. And that is, and I need to, oh, there is the arrow. And that is why I am engaging with several programs at Rotterdam University that move us all out of the lecture hall, students and teachers alike. We have learning spaces in the city, and I'm actually in one of these learning spaces today, a small community center in the south of Rotterdam, where we all work and collaboratively learn with community partners, residents, on challenges that are urgent in a certain area. And you can think of climate change issues, social inequality, climate justice, urban heat issues, traffic issues, and all these kind of questions that inhabitants have, societal partners have, and that our students, my students who all have a background in the built environment, civil engineering, water management, spatial planning, and to collaboratively learn to find solutions for that. And the picture, I had to blur the faces, so it looks a bit silly, but the people are real, is an example of a student water management who created a climate adaptation poster together with a group of men who call themselves the neighborhood fathers, and who are continuously looking at the outdoor spaces in their neighborhood. Is there enough green? Are we taking care of waste? And do we keep our streets safe and clean and friendly to the people who live there? One of the main issues that we have learned to be very important is that collaboration with societal partner doesn't mean that we can just jump into the city, work on a project so that our students can get their grades and then move away again. So we created a manifest, which is called Our Promise to the City. And that consists of basically 4 values that we want to work with everyone in the city on an equal basis, which means that all questions are equally valid, and everyone has great ideas and we are all learners. And Menno also mentioned that in relation to teachers and researchers from our academic community. And I support that. So students learn, people in the neighborhood learn, teachers and researchers learn, and we do that together. The other one, proximity, is that we are there. We're not talking about and learning about and creating solutions for a certain urban challenge in our safe lecture hall somewhere on the other side of Rotterdam. We are there. So we're working in a community center, move in and out, have coffee with the neighbors, work in a community garden together with the inhabitants. So we are there. And it's beneficial for all of us. Everybody benefits. Our students can grow their competency or can become more competent on competences like the ones Menno mentioned already in his presentation, and their disciplinary skills. And the inhabitants of a certain neighborhood also learn things about climate change or certain adaptations. And when our students have finished a product, it adds value to the living environment of the neighborhood. And we are there for a longer term. We do not jump in and out. We have long-term engagement, so we can collaborate with neighborhood organizations, community organizations for a longer period of time. And the students may hop in and out, but we as researchers and as facilitators of these collaborations are there for many years. And that is also why we have these neighborhood hubs, or we have a space in a community center to be there for a couple of years to really try to make a difference by really collaborating with the different partners. What's the potential value of that? It's a bit of an open door, and Menno already mentioned it, but for our students, it means that they can work on real cases and that they work with real people and collaborate with them and learn that while people in a suburban neighborhood might not have a university degree, they are actually expert on their own street. They know things that our students don't know, and our students learn that the inhabitants have a lot of knowledge about their own neighborhoods. And what my students share with me, because I'm also researching the impact of these types of learning environments on students' transition competences, is that students actually like to work in this way. They have to get used to it because they have learned that education is sitting in a lecture hall listening to me. So there are a few weeks of uncomfortableness, sometimes a bit angry. Is this education? But at some point, they feel that it matters what they do and that their choices have consequences and that they can work on issues that they really, really care about, because there are a lot of projects and challenges in the neighborhoods around us, and that everyone, no matter what discipline you bring in, has something to add. So they feel that their work adds value to what community organizations and professional partners are working on. So how does this look like? We have educational programs, and this is a bit of the basic model. The challenge they are working on, the project, is the center of our program. And on the left hand, they have theoretical lectures and workshops, for example, about system thinking or about regenerative development. And on the other hand, there is development on a more personal level to discover how they see these bigger challenges and the kind of role they see for themselves in these challenges from the perspective of their disciplinary background, but maybe also personally. And in practice, that looks like that. Students working in the fields, on an urban area, and on the left side, it's these are students working in a delta area in the province of Zeeland. On the left-hand side, lectures, workshops. The lower picture are actually some of my students who are prototyping a research method. And on the left side, some pictures of coaching, reflection, and a resilience cafe that my students organize and host each semester, in which they facilitate workshops for a broader audience about resilience, sustainability, or regenerative questions. So students learn experientially, applied research, hands-on, and feedback comes from the environment, not from me as a teacher. This is wrong, this is right, but they experience if they are doing things right, but also if they are doing the right thing. And collaboration with different partners is a very crucial aspect in the latter, because people who live in the neighborhoods know very well what a neighborhood needs. And my students have all these groundbreaking ideas. They are very enthusiastic about it. And then they present it to, for example, the neighborhood fathers, who are very kind to our students and say, well, this is a good idea, but have you thought about this and that and that and that? And that is what this collaboration with societal stakeholders brings on the table for my students. And they actually mention it as something very valuable, that they learn to see what is the right thing to do in which circumstances or in which community. And we take time for contemplation, because our society is overheated and education is overheated. We are stressed with grading and passing exams. And what we need to do is just to stop running now and then and take time to sit down and to think about what kind of contribution do I want to add, or do I want to, how do I want to contribute to a regenerative future of all? How can my team, with the project that we work on, contribute to that? And what I need to learn in order to support my team to contribute to the regenerative or a project result that can really support development towards a regenerative society. And what I see and hear from my students is that they become more aware of themselves, they gain self-confidence, they are courageous enough to speak up, but they are also become more capable in listening to others and understanding other points of view, and to have an ethical relation with the world. So we work from potential. What could this square become, instead of can we solve the technical problem of the tiles that should infiltrate rain, but they don't do it? Are there other ways of making a square climate adaptive? And then all students, no matter what background they have, can join that process. We address the student as a whole person, not just a head with brains, not only academic learning, but trying to tap into their motivation or stimulate them to find their own motivation. And we step into the world. We work with our hands and feet in the city, instead of only talking about sustainability or regenerative challenges in an academic way. And we connect learning to a bigger purpose. And when I speak with my students, that is something that puts their motor on. They're not there for passing exams. They need to pass them, of course, but that their learning is connected to something bigger than their diploma. That is what they tell me they want to wake up for in the morning. And we encourage them, by working in a certain area, to have a direct relation with the learning content and the learning context, and not a relation that goes through an assessment form. Because collaboration with societal partners, and trying out ideas in real life offers all the feedback that you need. They don't need a written appraisal form from me to tell them what is right or wrong. It's all there. And of course, we coach them. But that direct relation with the content of learning is something that we encourage them to establish. And confident, instead of only doing exams as a sign that you are competent, because as soon as you start assessing, we stop learning. So we have as little exams as possible. I would prefer no exams at all, but I have a system that forces me to examine my students, but we have downsized them to the minimum. And then learning can really has a chance. And yeah, what I began with, if we can turn education into an act of love again, my hope is that collaborative learning with societal partners in a real context enables my students to call upon their own love for the world and their own love for others, so that they can really find their own way in contributing to a regenerative future for all.
Thank you so much, Marlies. That was really, really enjoyable. I love the concept of bringing love back into education, because I feel like certainly when I was in school and stuff, we didn't really talk about love and passion and the future that we might want to see. So I totally agreed with this sentiment. Thank you so much. We now have about 6 minutes for questions. I will just share my screen again. I'll just read it out. Okay, so it's a question for Menno. From Brendan, who's from Trinity College Dublin. What platform do you use when collaborating at a national level with other stakeholders and partners? For example, do you use an online portal?
First of all, of course, thank you for the question, and I can really give a very short answer. I think we don't use a platform for online collaboration. So we have students come live to a certain location for the national sessions, and when we have the hackathon, people work together on a regional level for, of course, a stakeholder. And in those sessions, we do have online meetings. We use a Microsoft Teams for that, just because most of our educational institutions use Microsoft Teams.
I think we're a little bit short on time, but I did really want to ask this question. Maybe we can cover it briefly. So as part of the Regen U project, we are also putting together policy recommendations as to how policy, maybe at the university level or the European level, could better support regenerative education, etc. And I wondered, like, for the both of you, what would you say, what is kind of needed for educators to be able to kind of like build these programs? What kind of core things are needed and have to be in place or have to be accessed to get this set up and running?
Marlies, Monsieur?
Yeah, I would say a dedicated person who establishes and maintains the relations, because as an educator, my work is teaching and supporting students. And when I have relations with societal partners, that's usually in between or in my evening hours. And to really build communities of learners in which we all collaborate, some staff members of a university should have a full their job should be dedicated to facilitating and maintaining these collaborative communities. That would be my my recommendation.
I couldn't agree with you more, Marlies. So here as well, we're more and more talking about what a team needs instead of what just a single or individual teacher needs. And a team needs, of course, people. The teaching team and education team needs people that work on building the collaboration with external stakeholders. And as well, I would say we need to learn to relinquish control, let go of the control of trying to control students' learning. But that also means that we as an institution have to stop trying to control the education that our teachers are trying to build. So our teachers also need managers, leaders that will tell them it's okay to go and start experimenting with your education. And of course, it will fail sometimes, maybe a lot of times. And it's okay if it fails, and I've got your back. And that is that's a thing for our institution as well. I can say it, but it's still very, very difficult for us to actually do it. So it's easily said, but very hardly done.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. I think this kind of culture of allowing experimentation and failure is kind of what we always conclude is needed, but it's not so easy to get from the current system to that. But we move forward, and thank you very much, Menno and Marlies. This has been amazing, and I think it's really nice to hear these kind of initiatives which are on the way to making these things happen, on the way to giving students the skills that they need to enter the kind of 21st century, feeling that they have the confidence and agency to work on challenges that they're going to face in their personal lives, in their jobs, and in general with the environment and the economy. I think it's a topic that's close to all of our hearts. And thank you so much. You've been amazing. And thank you for everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Marlies. Also very, very nice talk. And thank you, Tasha, for having us.
Yeah.